Greetings to all of you, my dear sisters and brothers, and my dear friends, and well, welcome to all of you from your Pastor Yeti. Forgotten among the lilies, longing is our spiritual lot. On February 12, 1944, 13-year-old Anne Frank wrote the following words in her name, in her now famous diary. Today the sun is shining, the sky is a deep blue. There is a lovely breeze, and I am longing, so longing for everything. To talk, for freedom, for friends, to be alone. And I do so long to cry. I feel as if I am going to burst. And I know that it would get better with crying, but I can't. I'm restless. I go from room to room, breathe through the crack of a closed window. I feel my heart beating as if it is saying, "Can't you satisfy my longing at last?" I believe that it is spring within me. I feel that spring is awakening. I feel it in my whole body and soul. It is an effort to behave normally. I feel utterly confused. I don't know what to read, what to write, what to do. I only know that I am a longing. There is in all of us, at the very center of our lives, a tension and aching, a burning in the heart that is insatiable, non-quietable, and very deep. Sometimes we experience this longing as focused on a person, practically if we are in a love that is not consummated. Other times we experience this yearning as a longing to attain something. Most often, though, it is a longing without a clear name or focus, an aching that cannot be clearly pinpointed or described. Like Anne Frank, we only know that we are restless, full of disquiet, aching as a level that we cannot seem to get at. When we look into history, philosophy, poetry, mysticism, and literature, we see an astonishing variety of ways in which this aching is expressed. For instance, many of us have read Richard Bach's little parable, Jonathan Living Seagull. This book spoke deeply to millions of people. It is a very simple story. Jonathan is a seagull who, when he comes to consciousness, is not satisfied with being a seagull. He looks at his life and the life of other seagulls, and he finds it too small. All a seagull ever does is eat and fight. So Jonathan tries to burst out. He tries to fly higher, to fly faster, to do anything that might break this asphyxiating limits of being a seagull. He does not know what he wants. He only knows that he is hopelessly restless. that he must break out. Many times he crashes and almost kills himself, but he keeps trying. This is a story obviously more of the human heart than of a seagull. It describes our search, our aching, our congenital propensity for the limitless, to free the total embrace. In more abstract ways, this has been experienced in history. Philosophers speak of a desire of the part to return to the whole. Mystic speaks of the spark of the divine in us. The ancient Greeks spoke of something they called nostos, homesickness, a feeling of never being at home, even when you are at home. The Vikings called it wanderlust, the insatiable need to push further and further into the horizon. Shakespeare talked about immortal longings. Gerard Manley Hopkins called it the human spirit, an imprisoned skylark. Augustine prayed to God, "You have made us for yourself, Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." All of these feelings are in all of us. We are all deeply and hopelessly subject to dis-ease, incapable in this life of finding lasting rest. This restlessness, however, must never be seen as something which sets us against what is spiritual, religious, and of God. In fact, this hopeless aching and lack of ease is the very basis of the spiritual life, what we do with the eros inside us, be it heroic or perverse in our spiritual life. The tragedy is that so many persons, full of riches and bursting with life, see this drive as meant something which is essentially irreligious, as something which sets them against what is spiritual. Nothing could be further from the truth. Or erotic impulses are God's lure in us. They are our spirit. We experience them precisely as spirit, as soul, as that which makes us more than mere animals. Our soul is not an invisible kind of tissue floating around within us that stains when we sin and cleanses when we are in grace, and which ultimately floats away from the body after that. Our soul is our eros, our minds and hearts in their deep restlessness, leaving the tension that arises out of that is the spiritual life. In that sense, everyone has a spiritual life, either a good one or a destructive one. Our spirits make it impossible for us to be static. We must move outside ourselves. That movement outward, which is experienced as a double tension, a hunger which drives us outward, and an attractive outside person or object which draws outward, is either beneficial to us or destructive. When it is beneficial, we have a good spiritual life. When it is destructive, we have a bad one. It is important, therefore, that we do not identify the spiritual life with something which is exotic for religious fanatics, extraordinary for professional contemplatives, or as something which is not for those who are full-blooded and full of eros. It is not negotiable. If you are alive, you are restless, full of spirit. What you do with that spirit is your spiritual life. Longing is our spiritual lot. Blessings to all of you, my dear ones. This is your Pastor Yeti. Bye.